transparency. And I'd also remind all present that local government decision-making affords no protection to councillors, council officers, and the public for comments made during meetings that are subsequently challenged in a court of law and determined to be slanderous. For the benefit of those in the room today, those who will be, just a polite reminder, those who can vote today are myself, the Honourable Ken Shirley, Her Worship Mayor Tunui, His Worship David Moore, Commissioner Selwood, His Worship Mayor Denya, and His Worship Mayor Luca, and Jessica Andrew representing NZTA. I'm holding apologies from Angus Hodgson of Kiwi Rail, Chairman Leader of the Bay of Plenty Regional Council, Mayor Tapsell of the Rotorua Lakes Council, Dan Kneebone from the Port of Tauranga, Greg Pert, the Freight Advisor to this committee, Stacey Spall from New Zealand Automobile Association, and we also note that we have Peter Bedford here as her alternate, and also Inspector Logan Marsh. As I said in our workshop, the police have been called off to a major operation and included Inspector Marsh. He sends his apologies, but he is a permanent appointee to this committee and hopefully will be at future meetings. I will move those apologies. Seconded the Honourable Ken Shirley. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Public forum, former Councillor Mike Williams. And you're there, Mike. You've got Zoom working. I think you need to turn your sound on. Have you got the sound on there? Can you hear us? Andrew, you might need to help him out. Can you hear us, Michael? We can't hear you. I thought I had something. Then come back to you, Mike. Time available. Can you hear us? Just nod. You can hear us.
We can't hear you.
Just say something. Can you say something? No, we can't hear you.
Not on.
It's the trouble with this technique.
Mike, we're just going to pause for a moment. Andrew's on his way to help you.
IT department.
From our IT department. Okay. In terms, Gavin, are you ready to do yours? Sorry to put you on stage so early in the piece, but welcome. Good to have you here. Yeah. And the public forum presentation. And apologies again for the police not being here. I know they were critical to hear this presentation, but we'll certainly make your presentation available to the inspector after the meeting.
So thank you, Chairman Thurston, and ladies and gentlemen, my name's Gavin Dennis, District Councillor of Whakatane District Council, out for Manatā. But for all my sins, I'm the chairperson of the Eastern Bay Road Safety Operational Group, which is the operational group covers Kawerau, Potiki and Whakatane. And so part of our, what we do is we report back to you, because you're our parent committee, you're our mothership. And I remember a couple of years ago when we were in a bit of a disarray because all three safety units were different Western districts that stopped working. Rotorua was a operations group and Whakatane was an operations group followed by a governance group. So you listen to the reports twice in case you missed it the first time. So since then there was a rejig. Obviously has stressed the importance to this committee to have the safety groups available. And so, hold up. So the reason I'm here today is to ask you for your assistance in a plea for increased roading police resourcing in the Potiki district. So we've noticed that there is, as you see as I go through, there's quite a strong increase or there's quite a strong number of road deaths and various injuries in Potiki compared to everywhere else. So Eastern Bay Road safety risk areas across all three councils: speed, rural roads and intersections, alcohol and drug impairment, distraction, young drivers, restraints, fatigue, motorcyclists and cycling. So you'll find that 24.6% of the crashes in the Potiki district have been because of speed, 19% of the crashes in the Whakatane district at speed, and 33% of the crashes in Kawerau district, the same thing. So what we do to try and stop this, we have a really good education program, and so it covers the recidivist drink driving program that stops, fatigue stops, many other things. We do printed campaigns, social media and radio campaigns, rangatahi driver mentoring programs, bike ready, delivery to 1,000 children across Eastern Bay. So you can see from these things that we're trying as hard as we can with the education and other things to try and stop the deaths in our area. The fatigue stops. One of them happens on New Year's Day in Marata, involving Blue Light, Marata Fire Brigade, also the Road Safety Mentor, Regional Council, as Dale behind us is contributing that too, and we just provide sausages and water, etc., and a chance to get out and stretch their legs, and that's been going for 8 years now. In fact, the kids coming through from the Rhythm and Vines to look out for it. But those are the sort of things we are trying to do. So the problem is we've got embedded behaviours that are difficult to change. And part of that is Eastern Bay Road Safety Operations Group. We've noticed the disturbing trends in the road trauma. So drivers continue to choose to drive under the influence and without wearing seatbelts. For the 21-22 financial year, we received our highest death and serious injury total across Eastern Bay in a decade. Despite a comparative national trend downwards, ours went up. 13 deaths and 64 in total deaths and serious injuries in 21-22. That's quite high for us. The next slide, if you see in the on that black line, you'll see in the fatalities, on the left-hand side of the number accidents, that's 36. You go to the right, out of those 36 accidents, there are 52 deaths. This is over between 2019 and 23, over 5 years. So out of 33 crashes, there are 42 deaths. Out of 153 crashes, there were 188 serious injuries. So as you realise, serious injuries means that for those people, life is never the same again. Wheelchairs, paralysed, maybe they've got limp forever after, maybe they have to change jobs. And so you'll find that as we go down, there's the higher figures down towards the bottom, but we're concentrating on the fatalities and the serious injuries. So if we go to this next one, this is a really exciting one. So you noticed in the Potiki that the number has grown from 2 in 2018 and 19 to 5 2009 and 20. So the black ones are the crashes, the green and bracket are the deaths. Potiki in 2019-20 had 5 accidents that produced 6 deaths. Started going down in 2021, but that 21-22 came up again. 5 crashes and 6 deaths. So in total across those 5 years, Potiki had 20 crashes and 23 deaths in that area. That's just Potiki. If you go to their serious injuries, the same thing, they're quite high totals. Compare that to Kawerau, had no fatalities. But in the serious injuries, Kawerau had a total of 9 crashes and 11 serious injuries out of that. Whakatane, 26 crashes and 31 deaths. But why we think that Potiki is worse is so for those 23 deaths in total across those 4 years, Potiki's only got 9,300 people. Whereas Whakatane with their 31 deaths has got 38,800. So you can see 38,800 with 31 deaths is compared to a Pautaki of 9,300 people. Yes, so it's quite high. So if we go to the next one, actually might stay on that one for a minute. Of those 23 deaths in Pautaki, in the last 2 years, there's been 12. I've heard from one of the roading police that isn't just speed, okay? So 3 of those were pedestrians that went home drunk, walking home and decided they were tired, so they lay down on the road and they got run over and found in the morning. Okay, so, but it's still a road death. 2 of those went to the pub one night together in a Pautaki, and as per the rule that once they'd had so much to drink, the publican took their car, put it in a lock-up out the back and took the keys away, and they had to walk home. However, early in the morning, they came back with another key, broke and took the car, and they were found the next day upside down in the water, dead, no seatbelts on. So you can't say that's speed. So that's all sorts of things. That's alcohol, lack of seatbelts, and that sort of stuff. So you can see that those are quite high numbers. Go to this one here. So this is just an example of the riskier parts of the different categories. So you can see that Whakatane's got a couple of mediums and 4 highs, but Pautaki seems to strike the highest. You've got to wonder why. Why are we going from those statistics, but they're coming from that many different angles? Part of the problem is that in the Pautaki at the moment, it's really hard to get policing. And it depends who you talk to as what the level of establishment should be and what it actually is. So we've contacted someone high up down there in the last few days, and they said that they should have 12 uniformed cops. They've only got 6. They should have 2 plainclothes. They've got none. And they've got 1 roading police. So that 1 roading police, I think maybe Mayor Moore might tell you about the extremely distant roads that they have. So you've only got 1 guy there. You don't have any highway patrol people helping them. So we're committed to reducing the serious injury. So our group is, we think we're focusing really well on the education and the engineering components of road safety through NZTA Whakatane. They're doing a really good job by trying to do the right thing at the right intersections and the right there, and we're trying to do as much as we can for the education. So it's like that a braided rope is stronger than a single strand rope. We also need to have the enforcement of what we're trying to educate them on, and the enforcement to comply with the rules, to wear their seatbelts, to reduce their speed, to not drink with alcohol in their system, etc. So the police will acknowledge that they're having trouble maintaining a sufficient dedicated road policing resource, and that's been really hard for them. And so a little while ago, I think you all got a letter that we sent to the ministers, the Minister of Police, Minister of Transport, and the East Coast MP. Unfortunately, when that letter went out, the East Coast MP had resigned. Pretty tough to Alan. Yeah. Under our. And Ginny Anderson sent back your typical letter that said, "Thank you very much. We've received this, and I've passed it on to the police, and I'm sure they're going to do the best they can." And our government has produced more police per head of population than other governments, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But obviously it's in the wrong places, and because it's not bringing down the deaths in the really remote towns. Some of the deaths in the Whakatane area have been out Ruatoki way. You know, we had a really serious crash a couple of years ago out there. And obviously a Pautaki is out the back of beyond. So our plea to you really is, can you help us? So we've asking you for support to help continue lobbying for increasing dedicated road policing in Potiki District. The roadie police team say that if they could have a highway patrol person down there, it would be absolutely invaluable. So someone who just specialises on those highways. You see them around here in their blue cars and their red cars with the police stickers on them. Those are the ones that are doing the damage to the speeders, the alcoholics, etc. that are driving. So we respectfully request a letter of support from this committee to be included with the next letter we're going to send to the new MP, the new Minister of Transport and the new Minister of Policing.
Thank you, Gavin, and thank you for your devotion and commitment to this critical issue. I think it's a given that you'll get support from this committee. We are somewhat constrained by the fact that it is a presentation and that we can't base anything off a resolution. So, and it's a shame that Inspector Logan Marsh is not here to hear your statistics, and which I'm pretty sure he'd be fully aware of. So before I open it up for discussion, Amanda, you wanted to make a comment about how we can put it through the system? Still thinking. Okay. I'll open it up for discussion. His Worship Mayor Moore.
Yeah, just we've got a gentleman sitting here knows probably more about road policing than me. Did I know? I was on the team with Gavin prior to becoming mayor. One of the issues we had was the infringements had dropped from about 2016 to 2019 by about down to a third of what they were, and we had our record death toll on our Eastern Bay roads. One of the reasons why Potiki's in there, for many reasons, is we're a corridor to Gisborne. Our population's only 9,000, but probably 80% of the traffic travelling through. I remind the regional council, a lot of people travel through our town with the two rivers, protecting State Highway. They travel through our town, so we do get incidents there. The policing numbers in the Potiki haven't been fully staffed since 2013. We're down to actually less than 6, 15. At the moment, we're fully staffed if you ask the police, but they've been covered from here. If you're covering from here, you're short here. It's not a. I've had discussions with the Assistant Commissioner, Richard Chambers. We were in the media a fair bit for all the wrong reasons earlier in the year, but prior to that, we met with the police 6 weeks prior to the killing of Tiwana about gang issues and the lack of policing. Told them something was going to happen. Sure enough, it happened. But look, it all comes back to the presence on the road. There wasn't many occasions when you could drive from here to Tauranga without seeing 2 or 3 police cars on Matatā. Look, they might not be stopping everyone, but it's a presence, so you slow down. And we've only recently started having speed cameras returning to our district, which is great because we were in all the wrong stats for the speed. So policing in general, it's all over the country, more provincial areas than anything. So it's not unique to our district. But some serious words need to be said to the new police minister. He wants to be tough on gangs, but we actually need some police on the ground. The gangs don't kill this number of people. I think we had 1,100 people die for over a 10-year period on the roads, and nearly 70% of them were speed. So that's through the whole country. So thanks for putting this up, Gavin. Some of the numbers might be a little bit wrong with the policing numbers, but that's something we are working on as a council ourselves, but we can't do it on our own.
Thanks, Your Worship. Councillor Von Dettelson.
Yeah, look, I'm only an alternate here, but I support what it's trying to do, and would recommend that this committee actually genuinely supports you. For many years, I was on the Western Bay Road Safety Committee, and the previous mayor insisted that it be disbanded because he didn't like his representative on it. And I would use this opportunity to urge the current mayor to have a look at that again, because that committee, and I was on it for many years, actually had a very good relationship with the police. And it was yes, it's a talk fest, but in actual fact, we actually made really good progress in those years, and that was disbanded under the last triennium. And I think that was a huge mistake. So you can be sure that personally I support where you're coming from and make a recommendation, but I would also make a recommendation that Virginia have another look at that from a Western Bay and just have a look at the history, because it was a very good committee, and it was deemed that it would be brought into this regional transport committee for reporting that, and it doesn't get the same effect. And the relationship with the police is not the same as actually having sub-regional. So support you in the east and look forward to seeing a change in the west.
Any further comments from anybody?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
Councillor Campbell.
Thank you very much. Look, I fully support this initiative. We need to get more road policing out there. And as Mayor Moore said, we've got a gentleman in the room here, Peter, that probably knows more about this than anybody. But I have to say, looking at the Kawerau stats, I don't believe that we're all that innocent in Kawerau, except he's picked on the old people, which is just shocking to know. But you don't have to go very far in Kawerau to be killed on a Whakatane road. So that's what I'm just saying. I don't know if that's entirely right, because I do know we have lost people out of Kawerau. But yeah, look, I fully support what Gavin has put forward. The other thing that we used to have a cop here called Scotty, and well known to everybody. Poor guy got bowled over down on the main road down here, and then finally gave up with Australia, but he'll probably never be able to do much again. But whilst he was doing his job on the road, and I know of senior sergeants that I've dealt with in Kawerau, he would possibly follow a car home, and Scotty probably went that much further of sorting out crime in Kawerau than a lot of other policemen that were sitting behind a desk, to be honest. So that's where it's all about, that being out there and being visual and flying the flag. So yeah, totally support Gavin, and I hope that this committee will certainly endorse that, please. Thank you.
In terms of standing orders, we can't move a recommendation off a presentation, but I'm going to use my powers to direct staff to write a letter on behalf of the Regional Transport Committee, and it will be taken to the February meeting. And it's an instruction for staff to action. So there you go, Michael. You happy with that?
Yep.
All good. Gavin, you happy to work with staff on the contents of that letter, and Mayor Moore? Thank you so much. We're going backwards in the agenda here, folks. So here we go. And Mike, are you there anywhere? He's not back online yet. Okay. Items not on the chair's report. Yeah, it's an item not on the agenda.
We're going to discuss it, just see we're going to resolve this, and we'll discuss it.
Okay, so here we go. So I need a mover and a seconder that we accept the late item, the chair's report. And note that the reason that this item is not on the agenda is that the information was provided after the agenda was prepared and cannot wait till the next scheduled meeting due to the timely nature of the information. And it refers to 3 letters in there, which are all very self-explanatory. Oliver, are you speaking to the other contents of the chair's report?
Yes, John.
Okay, go for it.
As the chair said, we hadn't originally proposed to have the chair's report, given this was going to be a fairly short meeting. However, there has been a flurry of activity in inboxes and post boxes over the last week. So we thought we would use the chair's report to present the various correspondence that we've received. First of all, we have been informed that the new Minister for Transport, the Honourable Simeon Brown, is expected to undertake a press release mid next week. where he is likely to set out the strategic priorities and expectations for transport and the new draft GPS. It's anticipated that a new draft GPS will likely be released in mid-February for consultation. We are likely to get some indication of what that might contain, and we will keep the committee informed as we know. Moving from the conversation we had during the workshop prior to this meeting, as you'll know that GPS is very closely related to everything we're doing in the RLTP space. So no doubt that will inform the conversation as we move into the year. Second in the Chair's report is the issue of rural school bus safety. So this is an issue that was recently raised at a meeting of the South Island.
Only come up in the last couple of days.
Yes, and was only brought to the Chair's attention earlier this week. So this is the issue that rural school buses travelling at open road speeds where children are unrestrained because there is no requirement for buses to be fitted with seatbelts, and also the dangers facing children when they walk to and from bus stops on rural roads, exposed to an environment where traffic is frequently travelling at open road speeds. The chairman of Environment Canterbury, Chair Scott, has offered to champion this issue by way of writing a letter to the Minister for Transport and Minister for Education, and is seeking support from RTCs around the country, as Chair Scott feels this is a national issue, not just a South Island issue. In terms of the Bay of Plenty, the Bay of Plenty Regional Council does not currently administer any rural school buses. However, rural school buses do operate in our region, administered either by the Ministry for Education or directly by schools. So it doesn't have any direct implications for the Bay of Plenty Regional Council should there be a change in legislation in this area. There is a resolution on this. I suggest we moving on, transport choices funding. So members will recall that this project came under some funding pressure from the Transport Choices Fund. There was initially a call to rationalise projects that would receive funding through Transport Choices. Councillor Thurston wrote a letter to David Spears imploring him to review the decision in relation to Rotorua, that project to maintain its funding. That's the Rotorua network refresh supporting infrastructure. That letter is attached to the Chair's report. An update subsequently is that the Transport Choices Fund is now on hold, pending direction from the government. The Transport Choices Fund is funded from STEP, Climate Emergency Response. And then finally, the Chair received a letter earlier this week from the Minister for Transport, Honourable Simeon Brown, in relation to regional speed management plans. The incoming government, so the new government, as part of their 100-day commitments, intends to replace the land transport rule setting speed limits 2022, which could impact what we've been doing in this space to develop a regional speed management plan. So the recommendation is that no further work is progressed on that until the new rule is introduced and understood. It's likely to be that regional speed management plans become optional rather than compulsory, as they are under the current rule. The letter also goes on to speak to vehicle kilometres travelled reduction plans. So the Minister has been very clear that what Kotahi NZTA is not to fund any activities related to VAT reduction beyond what's currently contractually committed. And we have also appended a letter from NZTA in response to the Minister's announcement on the Land Transport Law setting speed limits 2022. So 3 letters appended to the Chair's report.
Any questions or comments, anybody? Councillor Scott.
Just looking at the request for support about school buses.
Yes.
My question would be, have we got any evidence that it's a problem? Is it actually a problem or is it a perceived problem? And I'd be interested, before we sort of supported or didn't support, that we saw evidence of children being injured. In terms of seatbelts, in terms of the speed, then it's an education, definitely support an education program for keeping to the road code.
As I said, the letter came out only a few days ago from Environment Canterbury, and I've just been watching the email traffic in the last 24, 48 hours, and all the regional councils around the country have been swinging right in behind it, you know. So I don't know. Oliver, you might like to go. Honourable Ken Shirley, then Oliver.
Just to comment on that, if the, you know, through Environment Canterbury, we're supporting an initiative and they're writing to the Minister. My comment would be, don't present a problem. Identify an issue and offer a solution. If you want to make progress in writing to a minister, just don't lay a problem on them. Identify an issue, offer a solution. It works a lot better. It's just the way you phrase it.
That's it. Oliver, some final comments?
Just in response to Councillor Scott's comments, if you view the electronic version of this report, there's a link at the bottom. It takes you to a report compiled by the Ministry of Transport in 2022. It contains some statistics around rural bus accidents and casualties.
Agree with that, Councillor Scott?
Oh, we should be evidence-based. Totally agree.
Oh, yeah, and taking on board what Honourable Ken Shirley said. Okay, there's 2. Oh, sorry, Glenn. Sorry, the worship. You're a bit out of view.
Just a quick question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on, Glenn.
Quick question there. With the refresh, it doesn't seem to be in the prioritised list of activities. Maybe I missed it. But I'm thinking, is it one of these other projects that's just slipped through the gap? If we don't get funding, which looks pretty likely, we won't get funding through Transport Choices, then does that just mean, sorry, you're wait for another few years till we have another go? Or does it automatically go into the RLTP, or does it need to be manually reinserted into there?
It's quite a long story where the funding was coming from originally, which they reviewed subsequently. Do you want to go on, Oliver?
Yeah, so through you, Chair. It is a proposed activity, but it is because it is less than $2 million. It is not classed as a significant activity, although I'm sure the Chair would agree it is a very significant project. So that's why it doesn't appear.
I didn't realise it was so cheap, so sorry.
It's been caught up in local politics back home, I can assure you. Yes. Okay, no further speakers. Okay, there's 2 recommendations there on the Chairperson's report, which I read out at the commencement of this. I'll so move. Second, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. And delegates authority. Sorry, all 4 of those. Okay, if everyone's happy, I'll put it. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay, how are we going, Mike? We've got Mike here? Andrew?
Don't believe so, Amanda.
Okay, well, we'll just keep trying. We're going backwards. You've never been at a meeting like this before. I assume there were no declarations of conflicts of interest. The minutes of the last meeting, if someone's got a good memory going back to the 31st of August, that's circulated there on page 7. I'll move those as a reasonably true and accurate record of that meeting. Seconded His Worship Mayor Luca. Any further discussion before I put them? Any questions or comments? Matters arising? Being none, I'll put them. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried.
Sorry, that's through you, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Deputy Mayor.
Mayor Ricky, I don't think you're an apology for that meeting.
I read the minute. Was it?
Is that a process?
You can correct it if you so wish. You better correct.
Not listed as.
No, it was an apology for that.
I was thinking neither of us are there.
It's listed in here.
It's on page 7, listed as an apology.
Oh, and he's at the top, I see.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
good spotting. Okay, it's been, oh, did I put that? Okay, all those in favour say aye, gets carried. Jessica, floor's yours. Waka Kotahi. Will allow me to refer to you as the New Zealand Transport Agency.
Refer to me to whatever you like.
Okay, go for it.
Amanda put my presentation up. Give her a moment.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. And David sends his apologies. He was going to try and draw it online, but I think he must be still. So I'll start as Amanda gets this up. So the first slide just relates to what you already know about the 24-27 NRTP development update. So the team of...
Hold on while we get it up. There we go.
So slide 3. Just confirming that the beautiful, thank you. That we are waiting on a new GPS on land transport, and that is done through the Ministry of Transport and the Minister, not us. The final GPS will come into effect on the 1st of July, but obviously we'll get signals on that earlier. We are hoping to get some signals to the Minister shortly on what the priorities are. So you may get some information about that next week or in the new year. We will see details of the prioritisation method being updated in response to that as well. But kind of what I have said to you already today is that last bullet point. It's important that all of the things that we are regionally have identified as a priority need to be in our RLTP, regardless of funding source. So we're clear what is important to our region. And then yes, funding is a complex matter that is going to need to be worked through. This picks up on one of the points that Moore mentioned. So safety cameras, speed cameras, but more broadly now safety cameras because they'll have multiple functions. Transfer of responsibility for those moves from place to Watahi shortly. And as part of that, we will be putting out a lot more safety cameras across the network. These will be able to do more than just speed cameras, but we're looking across the network at where are the key areas that we need to prioritise these so that we're more fixed cameras as well as mobile cameras. And they'll be able to do kind of those broader range of functions and, you know, move to things like people using cell phones, distracted drivers and some of those sorts of things. So it's a huge step. It's also a huge undertaking for us. So we've done some trials and different things around like on State Highway 2, which have gone really well. So you'll start to see more cameras, but also kind of a shift in how they're used, the use of them going through the next few years. They will have signs telling you that they're coming. And so people will be aware that they're in the area that we will be through that. Police will still have a role and they'll still be out there, but this will be supporting and enabling that and working alongside it.
Can I ask, are there going to be point-to-point cameras as well?
There are, so that's part of what we've been trying on some of the roads, point-to-points, and there have been changes to enable that, so yes. Yeah, a bit of a shift. A little bit of updates on project. This is a pretty short presentation, but I'm happy to take any questions. I was very lucky very early this morning to bless some of the final po going into Bayfair to Baypark. I did not bless it. I attended the blessing for 3 po whenua, which I was very pleased to say represented Te Wāhine, so 3 female ancestors from the 3 hapu. So we will see Baypark to Bayfair kind of completing in the next few days, and then the new year we'll see some remaining works. There's a couple more po to go in, tidying up around footpaths planting, those sorts of things. So you'll see little tidy up works and a little bit of sealing that hasn't quite managed to get done, but it'll be largely fully functional for Christmas, which is a really exciting milestone. I think even if you don't live in Tauranga, I'm sure having that not congested when you come to visit, you'll be grateful to see. There will still be some temporary speed limits while we finish some of the sealing and those little bits of work. And as people get used to the change in the road layout as well. The other blessing I also attended today, so it's been a busy day, was you'll be aware, I imagine for a lot of you, of the fatality at the Hewletts Road, Golf Road level crossing, where the young Georgia Ray passed away while cycling through there. And myself, TCC and Kiwi Rail came together with the Hapu representatives this morning and George's family to bless the new maze and level crossing safety improvements that we've put in now, which will hopefully prevent anything like that happening again. And there's a fence that's been installed along the length of the rail corridor here. We see a lot more sites like that around Tauranga and a lot more that needs to be done over time. But I guess as we sit here prioritising, it's certainly on my mind that, you know, this was a young girl going from intermediate to her home. Our kids should have the right to do that safely. And it was certainly a sobering event today reminding us about that. The other big one happening in James's patch. So we are just in Commissioner Selwood's patch, where construction work's about to complete the new Cambridge Road overbridge. We'll see Cambridge Road and T&L Cross, and that will connect us between Bethlehem and Tureko. It does require a full closure of a section of Moffat Road starting in January, which will be somewhat of a disruption as we'll have to detour vehicles around that. And thank you for TCC for their work with us on that detour. It's going to take 3 months, but in the end, we'll get a really fantastic outcome of having the two roads separated and the ability to move through there freely. So it is a really exciting milestone to get to the point where we've got there, and we've got 3 bridges that are getting near to complete and looking amazing. So we'll start to see kind of early, I think by about April, we'll be able to drive the entire site end to end across the rivers. There'll be enough for the trucks, not you and I, but the trucks to be able to go the whole length. There'll be enough of the bridges in place. And a massive amount of earthworks. I know a few people managed to go out on site and it's incredible. And we've got 14,000 vehicles travelling through daily, and there's a huge amount of tie-ins and earthworks happening out there at the moment. Every day of good weather is a day when that site is just so it's really exciting to see the work happening there. We've also had 2 info days recently, particularly ahead of that road closure around Moffat Road, so the community could be aware. I think it was our most attended local info day. We had 500 people through a kind of information day, including kind of people waiting at the door before we opened. So it was a massive day, but it was hugely positive and a lot of interest and a lot of enthusiasm from people. We've had the elected members from Western Bay Council, who were only slightly less excited than the Te Puna Kindy kids, who also came out recently to have a look at the site and the crane that was named by, I think, one of the kindies out there. The other one in Rotorua, we're really excited to complete the intersection of State Highway 30 and 33 to Nine Junction, which connects obviously Rotorua and Whakatane. The roundabout there is looking amazing, and is a huge improvement to the safety of that intersection, which I'm sure we all did not enjoy turning through before. So it's aimed, we've managed to do that under budget and under time, which is always something is nice to be able to say. And we knew it had a huge impact on people going through there, so it was really important to us to get out of there as soon as possible and free that up for the community. And that is it. I'm happy to take questions on everything. Can't promise to answer them though.
Worship Mayor Luca, then Glenn, then Councillor Von Dadelson.
That last bit of roadworks, you said under budget, under time. What was the budget and what was the time?
And you're going to ask me that. I probably have it in here just a sec. I think it was 5 weeks under time. I've got the details in my notes just a sec.
I thought
No,
you
I don't have it on me,
No,
sorry.
it doesn't matter. Regarding the Bay Park to Bayfair,
Didn't quite meet that milestone, sorry.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's a 14-year project. Been going from the planning stage to, well, we hasn't been completed.
If you get included all the
15 years, so that goes to show you how long it takes.
Most expensive per kilometre in New Zealand's roading history.
Yeah, so by the time we start a project like that and we end it, the population's gone up by another 30%, which is the point I keep trying to make. But anyway.
Okay, Glenn.
Faster.
Glenn, then Councillor Von Daddleston, then the Commissioner. Glenn.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, Jess, with the rail crossing protection, is that being investigated or hopefully implemented soon for Hull Road in that area? Because I know local communities, school children, school reps, hapu, cycle advocates, others have proactively raised that and said a death could occur, and a death occurred. And we've said the same thing about we being a collective group of a whole lot of multi-stakeholder people have said it also at the Connecting Mount Wanganui stakeholder workshop. I have scope for that, but it could happen on Hull Road as well.
So I believe, and the Commissioner may be able to speak to this, obviously the skate park's been built by there, and as part of the skate park works, they are doing they're going to do safety improvements at the Hull Road level crossing as to connect it because of the greater use, and so that has prompted that to be brought forward as well. So there will be improvements.
So can you please clarify through the chair, who is actually responsible? Because one of the community problems is it TCC, is it Waka Kotahi, presumably not Waka Kotahi and Hull Road, or is it Kiwi Road? I'm trying to understand the lay of the land there.
It's a joint responsibility, and I realise that comes with some challenges, but it's a level crossing. It's road over rail, rail over road. So it's joint, it's between the two of them. So the one that we've just done at Hewlett's was all three parties contributing and supporting that work. And then I think Commissioner Salmon may be able to clarify, but I believe it's TCC and Kiwi Rail delivering on that one.
Councillor Von Daddleston.
Thank you for your report. It's always good to see what's actually happening at NZTA. My question is relating to PTOM, the public transport operating model. Has that morphed into the new GPS? Is it going to be part of the GPS, or is that separate?
It's separately, so it's kind of an operational standard that works kind of irrespective of the GPS, and we'll keep going.
So the PTOM, has it been finalised from the last one that was meant to come out about 2 years ago? I'm forgetting where it's up to.
I'm not 100% sure exactly. I think Ollie, there we go. Ollie might be able to speak to that with Brad at the up to date.
Yeah, so the previous government made an amendment to the Act to bring the SPTF in. Waka Kotahi is working through operational policy to provide guidance to passenger transport agencies as to how it should be implemented. My understanding is that work is briefly on pause, pending.
So that's part. So the GPS won't give us any guidance on that.
Unlikely.
It is incredibly important to public transport because it affects the contracting requirements for contracts. And, for example, we had to have a 9-year contract. We weren't able to own buses, but we were mandated on as to size. It was quite prescriptive. And the last one came in, I think, prior to 2019 for our contract. Our last contract for Tauranga. So it is really important. It's taken a hell of a long time to get clarity on it. And so what you're telling me, it's still not finalised, the clarification.
Commissioner, then Honourable Ken Shirley. Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair. I really just wanted to acknowledge the milestone that was achieved in the almost completion of B2B. I think it's been a project that has been around too long and has faced a lot of problems, but it's great to see it finally completed, and I believe that it will have a significant positive impact on the local community, as well as many of those state highway rat run alternatives will go off Links Ave and back onto the main corridor, one would hope. So thank you to NZTA and the team and everyone involved in getting that project sort of state of finality that it is.
Yes, with the revenues from the speed cameras, now that it's gone from police to NZTA, the public always accused the police of revenue gouging. In fact, they never got any of the money, so that was unjust. I take it NZTA will get the revenue?
I believe the revenue will go back to road safety.
To road safety, right.
That's my understanding.
Any further questions to Jessica? Being none, Jessica, are you happy to move your report on page 15? I'm happy to second. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
It's carried over. We're on the home straight, everyone. Page 25, Andrew, Regional Land Transport Plan. Don't relitigate the 75, please. Implementation report.
Kia ora. This is largely as read. This is an information only paper which looks at the current RLTP program. Provides a RAG standard for red, amber, green says the project in the current program. So the late appendix that we received has a line by line item with a comment from each of the AOs as to where each of those items is at. And again, this is for the last prioritisation piece, and that this information is done from the AOs themselves. So if there are questions, we'll do our best to try and answer those, but there might be some people online that can help you, but it's really just the current status of each of the projects. So happy to hand that to the committee for any questions or comments.
Questions or comments to me? Being none, I'll move that we receive the, I beg your pardon, Glenn, sorry.
I want to comment from an environmental sustainability perspective that the qualitative analysis is that it's not looking good in terms of projects that are related to that. And I'm aware that the change of government will change the emphasis around recycling, but I've heard encouraging noises from the Minister around public transport in main centres, potentially not Rotorua. But I'm just thinking, when you look at the state of where we got to after 3 years with all those projects for public transport, we basically haven't achieved any of the goals that we set out to do, apart from the pre-implementation of a park and ride and couple mile, which I don't know anything about, so hopefully it's coming. And then in terms of the walking and cycling, when there was potentially some opportunity to implement things in the region, there were a couple that got completely blocked, a couple that got significantly delayed and massive cost overruns, and it just to me it doesn't look like a very I think it'd be good to look at what went wrong in terms of that, because it was, I would have thought, a reasonable opportunity to do something in that time frame. And is it that we were just too late? It was too late to get onto it, and therefore to ask for the funding, and therefore couldn't deliver. Was it just COVID, the aftermath of COVID? I don't know. But
Michael.
Happy to just wade in there a little bit. I think the lesson we can take from that particular report is we're creating our next RLTP, so there are lessons that we could draw from that in order to make sure that this version of life is representative of what's possible. One of the things I will note, though, is it's quite a difficult position for this committee to be in that we create a list of things that we think should be achieved and delivered through this program. It helps us to get investment for that work, and it helps to accelerate and prioritise that from a central government perspective. So we're effectively unblocking or assisting our money to flow into this region in order to deliver infrastructure. The delivery of that infrastructure, you well know, is up to each individual council and organisation. And I think there's a series of factors right across the infrastructure delivery world right now particularly with our communities, and probably as a result of things like COVID and other things, it makes this environment incredibly challenging. And so what I would reflect back to you is when we choose our measures and whatnot for this LTP, what are we holding ourselves account to? Because this committee and the people that are in this committee and your staff that help us to generate this list aren't responsible for much of it. We don't have any direct control over some of these things, and perhaps there's a two-step process, and what are the things we can actually control and hold ourselves to account around that, and then monitor the others, because they're important to understand whether all outcomes are achieved, rather than hold ourselves to account on the delivery of because there's so many headwinds and that sort of thing. But I think there is an opportunity for us to learn from that, though, as an RTC and as a and others too. So more of a generalised statement, then hopefully that
was an excellent answer.
Okay, thanks.
Councillor Von Dellison.
Yeah, just a query, Jess, you might be able to help us. State highway improvement activities, page 10 of this report. It says Tauranga State Highway 2 to City Centre, complementary to the NZ Up Northern Link. And it says the funding's been pulled on, it's got red. But what actually is that?
Yeah, it's a very confusing name. That is actually the managed lane study, looking at managed lanes in Tauranga. So whilst that activity is in progress, we have actually progressed that activity through KKT reduction funding. And because that has been awarded and is underway, that will be completed. So red there, but actually work has been done. But yes, that name doesn't give any of us any.
No, I couldn't figure what it was.
Okay, just going back to the Regional Land Transport Plan, I'll move that we receive the report. Ken Shirley, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Moving on, we're on the verbal update opportunity from committee members and advisors. His Worship Mayor, anything you want to put on the table pre-Christmas?
Well, okay, I'll just mention we'll have a workshop on the 19th next week just to discuss the speed management plan and go with that. I think it's pretty up in the air at the moment. I think it's fair to say we anticipate a lot of the government's moves on this. But how we pitch that to the public is another matter.
Luca?
Well, regarding the speed management plans, which they were supposed to go to council at our final meeting of the year on the 21st. I've requested that we just delay that, put it on the for now until the next meeting.
Is there anything you want to?
No, thank
Did you get your answers from NZTA?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Wonderful. Glenn? Worship Mayor Tuna, anything?
No, I've said what I did today.
No, thanks for helping us with this letter that's going to go off on behalf of, thank you for being here today. Councillor Scott, anything you'd like to comment on? Councillor Von Dellison? No. And Peter? All happy in the AA? Good. Jessica? Your Worship?
Always happy.
Always happy. Okay, I'll close the meeting. Thank you. Sorry. Oh, Commissioner Selwood, beg your pardon.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to add other than to say apologies I wasn't able to be there in person today, but best wishes to everyone for the festive season.
Okay, and I think that's shared by